Hi there. It's Kim Saracen, the Queen of Hearts. Thanks everybody for being here. And this is part two of What Women Want. And the first part of this was actually a post that went viral where I was just sharing a little bit of a tip, mostly for men on how to always know what a woman wants. And I was basically saying it's so simple. Like if there's air, like if there's words coming out of her mouth, just put I want in front of it. So lots of people like that. I had so many people save that post because it's just a great reminder for both men and women. The women can send that post to men or keep it for a future man, and it's just a really easy, simple method for men to remember how to always know what a woman wants. But there was so much interest in it that I wanted to do a part two. And I also wanted to do a live call just because I've had like hundreds of new followers come on into my community, and it's when you're new to a community, it's nice to be welcomed. And so that's what this call is about, is welcoming you in and just really helping you feel seen and heard, which is something a lot of you are not experiencing in your dating and relationships. And so I wanted to expand on the topic and just give you a little bit more of why I'm doing a part two. So it was interesting because there's a question I am sure that was on everybody's mind when I posted about how to know what a woman wants, but nobody asked it in the comments. And that was, why don't women just ask for what they want? Why don't they just be direct? And of course, in a man's mind, and men tend to be, definitely very logical and straightforward, and they don't have any hesitation with asking for what they want. And so it's mind-boggling to them why they don't, but there are reasons for it, and men should absolutely understand this. And for women listening, I'm sure it's going to resonate. So there's a few reasons. It's so interesting. Women in business, they find it easier to ask for the things that they want in business and in a business mode. But when it comes to relationships, it's just a whole different ball game. It's a place where both men and women feel very, very vulnerable. So it's not like we can always are, I don't know, performing at our best in relationships, because it's such a messy, complicated, this thing relationship, and men and women relating is such a tangled web, if you will. And we certainly use our thoughts and make things even more complicated. We're overthinking a lot of things. But in terms of women asking for what they want, it's a few things. So first of all, it's possibly they don't feel that if they ask for something that they'll actually get it. So maybe they've had an experience in the past where they asked a man for something and he didn't do it for them, and it was something important to them. And, they're like, maybe they've done it more than once and the guy's just not listening or doing it for them. And then they're feeling like, well, what's the point of asking? And so what happens is they stop asking, but yet they still have needs and desires. They still have things that they want a man to produce and do for them, but they don't feel confident in asking because they don't feel he's interested or can hear them. Also, we've become quite independent since we've entered the workforce, and we can match men in just about every area. Maybe the only area is lifting heavier things, but in terms of moving up in the world, there's still a ways to go. But certainly we're so good at taking care of ourselves that we just figure, well, we could just do it ourselves. So why bother asking? But that creates more problems, right? Because the reason we want to have a man in our life is because we don't want to carry the weight of the world on our shoulders anymore. So we enter a relationship and we're hoping we can unload some of that burden and have men, be taking care of us. That's one of the most exciting things for a woman in being in relationship, is not feeling like she's doing everything on her own. But we're so darn good, like we can kind of get into the mindset of, we can do it better and faster or just as well. So why don't I just bypass the middleman, so to speak, and just like do it myself, which of course will leave men feeling less than adequate, or that like they're not useful. And then there's also feelings of perhaps, depending on their background and their history, even as a child, maybe they don't feel worthy or even deserving to ask for all that they want. So these are the reasons why women aren't just direct. And the other thing is, we kind of wander around like men can read our mind in a lot of ways. And the reason for that is because women have very highly developed intuitive abilities. And we're able to do that because we're so encouraged and given permission to tune into our feelings, that we develop that sense, that sensory power quite well, and it grows as we get older. And so I can be looking at my girlfriend and I can download a whole bunch of information just with a look, and she will get it and go, and no words have been exchanged. So we feel, because men and women to us look, fairly similar, although we're very different. And as we go along here, as you get to know me more in my community, I'll be sharing, the many ways that of the polarity between men and women. But so we can just download information, and we think men have that same superpower. So we just give you a look, and we expect you to know what we mean when we're giving you that look, because our girlfriends can do it and men and women are the same. And so why can't you do it? So when you don't interpret that look correctly, and if you miss the mark on that, then we actually feel like you're doing it on purpose, like that you are not doing the thing that we want you to do on purpose, or you're not understanding us on purpose. So then we don't feel heard, right? So what we end up doing, and what we default to a lot, is communicating in a way that I call hints and innuendos. So in my viral post about how to know what women want, I was saying all you have to do is put I want in front of it. And basically I was saying, like, I was giving examples of, for instance, a woman will say, Ted and Mary said that they had a great Caribbean vacation. And on that viral post, I said, put I want in front of it. She wants to go on a vacation. Or I heard a great restaurant open downtown, this French bistro. Okay, put I want, she wants to go to that French bistro. So yeah, so this is why we communicate in hints and innuendos. But there are ways that a man can make it easier for a woman. So one of them is like simply running menus. So this kind of takes the pressure off her asking for anything, where you're just going to present a menu. And so let's say you're in a relationship and you get home from work and you're like, do you want to have dinner? And she'll be like, maybe totally burnt out, exhausted, because we don't have endless production available to us. We're more receivers than we are producers. But then when we have to work all day long, at the end of the day, we're like done and done. Whereas for men, maybe not so much, because you actually thrive on producing and production. It's like, fuel for you to be producing. That's your natural state. Whereas for us, we're relaxed receivers. So what you can do is simply say, okay, are you hungry? And she says, yeah, I'm hungry. So then run her a menu of, like, okay, do you want to order in? Do you want to go out? Do you want me to pop a pizza in the oven? So that's running a menu for her, and she will light up with her answer, and then you're going to know, okay, that's the place that's the direction we're going in. So running menus for women like that makes it easier, takes the pressure off. And, like if you're booking let's say you have a weekly date night, you can do the same thing. It's like, hey, being on top of it as a man, like if you're on top of it and asking her ahead of time, what do you feel like doing? So just run menus for her. Do you want to go out? Do you want to go to a movie? Do you want to, like, it's just always providing her with the options, basically. And that's going to be another great way for you to be understanding what a woman wants. That's really all I wanted to say. I just wanted to supplement it with just some more information and expand on why women aren't actually asking for what they want, and to just have a little compassion. Like it's just a lot of times we're not feeling worthy, or we are very just used to being independent and taking care of ourselves. And so we just figure we'll do it ourselves. And then, maybe feeling in the past that a man didn't actually hear us. Now, for women, what I want to say to you is, especially on that part, if you feel a man has not heard you. So let's say you've got a woman who is maybe not feeling worthy or deserving. So, how she might ask a man, and she'll kind of do it in a sneaky way. She'll wait until he's like focused on something else, like he's maybe doing a task on his computer, or he's working on his car, or he's just like really focused in one area. And then she'll lightly say, hey, can you clean out the garage? And he'll be focused on his thing, and he'll go, yeah, and then he doesn't really hear, and she thinks he has heard, but it is kind of being sneaky. So you have to know that you need a man's full attention when you are asking for things. And so first of all, if you need to ask for something, just make sure he's not distracted with anything else. That's number one. And then once you do have his attention, before you ask for anything, appreciate him for something that he's done recently for you in the past that made you feel good. It could be connected with the thing that you are going to ask him. So you want him to clean out the garage. Maybe he cleaned out another room 2 weeks ago. So you would start with, hey, you did such a great job of cleaning out that other room and getting rid of all our old stuff. Now we're going to have a tailgate party. And so, it would be great if, I'd love it if you could clean out the garage so it just looks clean and people can move around in there. And whenever you can get that done before Saturday, awesome. And I'm just so appreciative at how good you are, that you're like my Mr. Clean. I love it. I love it. So it's a form of appreciation. Then you make your request, and then you follow it up with a little appreciation. In doing that, I would be shocked if a man didn't follow through with what he needs. So that's the biggest thing for you women, is just make sure a man is not distracted while you're asking him of things. And especially if it's something that's really important to you and dear to your heart, and you really want it, only he can or is capable of doing it for you. So yeah, so there's some little hints and innuendos. No, it's hints and no innuendos on this call. So anyway, thanks everybody for joining, and I hope you found this helpful. And once again, welcome, welcome, welcome to my community. And if you're ready to move your love life forward in any way, shape, or form, I would love to invite you to have a complimentary call with me, and let's find out what's going on for you, and how I can possibly help. You can just DM me on Instagram or any of my social platforms. Just reach out, and I'd be more than happy to have a chat with you, and see how we can move the needle in your dating and relationships. Okay, thanks everyone. Thanks for joining. Bye for now.